It's my first time in a long time streaming and not playing piano. Streaming in general and streaming not playing piano. Today, I decided to come to Twitch to just talk. Yeah, talk about like what I'm going through, what I've been going through lately. It's been a little tough. But yeah, I'll start off. I'm gonna first talk about what the stream is about. Is I just said that twice. That's how you know I'm not the most comfortable on camera, but whatever. My grandmother passed away February 15th, 2025, 4:15 in the morning. And whoever sees this, if you know me, then you know how close I am with my grandmother. How much I love her, how much she means to me. And she's my heart. That woman is my heart. She raised me. She helped me to be the pianist, the classical pianist, the piano teacher that I am. She spoke life into me. She just did a lot of different things for me, and if it wasn't for her, I'm not here today. But anyway, today, I went on a deep binge on a thought that was in my head regarding my grandmother, her final moments, her last 2 weeks of being alive, and just for whatever reason, different things like that was just playing in my head. And so what ended up happening was I started remembering a specific time when my granny on her deathbed, me and my girlfriend, we went to see my grandmother. So Saturday after I got out of church, after I got out of teaching, went to see my grandmother, and that she was coherently speaking. I'm all over the place with the story, but it all makes sense in a second. When we went to see my grandmother, I was sad. My girlfriend, she was crying and whatnot, but my grandmother was still speaking and all those good things. Still talking and not loud, but she was able to speak. And one of the things that she said, towards the end of the visit, was that she pointed next to me. She was like, "Hey, Clifford, what is that Who's that little boy that's next to you?" She's like, "Who's that little boy that's next to you?" I'm like, "There ain't no little boy. It's just me and Candace." I laughed it off. She was like, "No, there's a little boy that." She was like, "Yo, do you have a son?" I'm like, "No, I don't have no son. I don't have no son. I don't have no children." I'm like, "You know that, right?" Laughing that off. But she was like, "Oh, that little boy looks like you, right?" And then another thing that she said was a little bit time later, maybe a few minutes later, she was like, "What is that on the floor? The floor is no." She's like, "Is that water on the floor or something like that?" And I'm like, "No, Granny, it's no water on the floor or anything like that. It's the regular floor." She's like, "Oh, okay, Then after that, she ended up, getting worse and sent to hospice. And, and then she ended up passing February 15th, day after Valentine's Day, 4:15 in the morning. And I'm making this live because of the fact that when she said that she saw a little boy that looked like me next to me, and she was wondering who that was, that stuck with me, as well as the whole entire thing of her seeing water on the floor. The reason why it stuck with me is because, especially sidebar, let me show you where I'm at. Metro North behind me. I'm in Washington Heights. Riverside Drive, really beautiful. Jersey and whatnot. Over there and whatnot. I got my bike here. That's the George Washington Bridge, I think, or some shit like that. A bridge, whatever. So, it's not the George W. Is it? It's the High Bridge. Anyway, Yeah, I think it's something like that. So, yeah. So, going back to restart this whole story over. I'm making this live because one of my granny's final moments of her being able to speak, and shit like that. Well, snap! I can't be doing that. Making this live because one of my grandmother's final moments. That's that, like her being able to speak. She saw water on the floor in her hospital bed, like on the floor, and she saw a little boy next to me that looked like me, and she was like, who is this? The water on the floor part is very important because of the fact that three years ago, like my grandmother, she basically had an episode where, like, out of nowhere, she had like a signs of dementia or whatever the case may be. I remember when I went to see her, she was like, Clifford, what is this water on the floor? Right? And I'm like, what is today it just hit me. There has to be some type of correlation between my grandmother's final moments of seeing water on the floor and seeing a little boy next to me that she said looks like me, and her, as soon as she had started showing signs of dementia, that one of the first things that she mentioned was she saw water on the floor. And I'm just like, okay, so I needed to figure this out. I needed to look this up and think about, like, what does this mean? What is the symbolism behind it? So I went on a deep dive. I went into ChatGPT. ChatGPT is like, helps me a lot with my business and, just figuring certain things out. But yeah, I went to a deep dive into ChatGPT. And I just, asked the question, like, told the whole story of, like, what was going on. What exactly does this mean? And the way Chad explained it was, and I guess it's somewhat what I felt as well. The way Chad explained it was that, what did Chad say? 2022, when my grandmother saw water on the floor, start transitioning over to the other side. And the water symbolized her going from the life that she knows to the life of preparing her for the life of being in a nursing home. And that's something that, like, my grandmother was not happy in the nursing home, but one thing that she loved is, like, when I would go see her, like, her face would light up, everything, right? And also simultaneously, these last 3 years, and this is tied into the water part that I'm talking about, we really healed from certain things, because we always love one another, but we really mended and built upon our relationship in a way that I was praying to God for would happen, and she needed me to help her cross over, right? And I needed her to help me become a better, like, version of myself, right? If that makes any sense. I'll say that again. Like, my grandmother needed me to help her along the water to transition, and I needed her to help me to become a better, confident version of myself, and really, like, tell her how much I love her, and vice versa, and all those great things, right? So the symbolism of my grandmother seeing water on the floor when that wasn't there, and her seeing water on the floor that wasn't there, and then one of her final days, her seeing water that wasn't there from her deathbed. There's a symbolism there that I needed to figure out, as well as her seeing on her deathbed, like, she saw a little boy that looked like me. What exactly did all of this mean? So the water symbolizes, like, her traveling over and whatnot, me helping her. I'm the kid, the little boy that was her light, that was her somebody that she loved, somebody that she trusts, that, like, would help her get to the other side. And it was so profound, and it is so profound to get, like, these answers that I needed, because, like, I haven't been, like, super, like, emotional. Of course, when it first happened, I was beyond emotional and going through the fire and stuff like that. But it just how to explain it. It just hit different, today. I'm all over the place, but I think that one of the reasons why I'm not, I wasn't, I was broken up, of course, but like I'm not losing my shit, so to speak. It's because when you're dealing with elderly people and you're raised by elderly people, you're around elderly people, you start to know that things are starting to happen. That your elder's gonna start to transition, your mom, your dad, or different things like that, right? And then sometimes, like in this case, my grandmother was preparing me for this, like in these last 3 years. She was preparing for me when I was preparing it for me, her death, even when I was younger. But she prepared me even more for it now. So over these last 3 years, I've been grieving little by little. This is all the things that I'm starting to realize of what was happening with me over these 3 years. I grew so much, but I was still grieving, and I was grieving before before my grandmother died. So I guess that's why I'm not as broken up over it as I thought I would be. But today was really hard. Today was really rough. I don't know how. Yeah, the thought of my grandmother's final moments, and figuring out the symbolism of it, and I was crying today before I went to work, and I didn't cry like that in a minute. I was crying real hard today, and still a little emotional. I went to work, told my students, which brought me a lot of joy. And another thing that's another thing. I love teaching kids piano. I love teaching children piano. I love working with children because they're kids. They're dope. It's amazing to see. You know what I'm saying? But as I was my grandmother passing, and what it means to me and whatnot, that or what is it? The little boy symbolized, yes, me helping her, her connecting with me, and vice versa, but also it shed light on the fact that I love working with kids. That like how I treat my students, like I treat them as if they were like my own children, right? That I don't have. I'm patient, I'm kind, I'm loving. Talk to me about anything and everything, but when I have to be strict, I can be strict, respectfully, of course. So that the symbolism of like the comfort that I get when I'm around my students, it means it's why that she saw that little boy, and or whatever, something like that was figured out. But yeah, I just wanted to jump on this Twitch thingamajig and just talk for a little bit and express what I was going through. I'm gonna start doing more of these where I start talking about different topics. A lot of people know me as like a gamer, more so actually as a classical pianist and a piano teacher and shit like that. A lot of people know me as that, but I have a lot of thoughts that go on in my head. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of topics of discussion. I like talking about basketball. I like talking a lot of shit. I like to talk. I'm very competitive. And I have to get this out. So I have this segment called, I guess this is the first episode of Cliff's. It's called Cliff's Corner. Cliff's Corner is going to be everything I just named. Me speaking my truth. Me talking about different topics. Me covering different type of music. Me talking about my day. Me talking about life shit, talking about like, how to become better at certain things, how to do this, how to do that, mindset shift, business stuff, talk about boxing, talk about different topics. Shoot, make beats on this. Yes, making. Yo, what's good? Who's this NG under 5? Know this. What up? Talking about a lot of different things like that. You know. So yeah, just had to jump on this real quick. I know there's only one person here. Before you, there was nobody here, but some people may feel like, Cliff, why are you even streaming and there's nobody watching your shit? Like, because this is good practice for when I have 20 people on my shit watching my shit, 100 people on my shit watching my shit, 1,000, 10, beyond that, right? And then also this is good practice for when it's time to perform or when it's time to talk about some stuff, or me talk about my business. Like, the only way you get good at stuff is by doing the shit, So I don't care right now. This is early stages of me streaming in real life. Mostly I be streaming game shit. I talk a lot of shit. But it's only gonna go up from here. You got a YouTube. It's gonna make an online diary for this type of event and talking. So it's good to make an online diary. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do got a YouTube. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I don't know what happened, but yeah, so I have 2 YouTube channels. One is for like my business and me, teaching piano and different things like that, and then the other one is more so gonna be like Cliff's Gaming Tracks. So it's gonna be me showing you videos of me gaming as well as me making beats and then combining the two. So let's say, for example, I go on a crazy ass kill streak, right, in Call of Duty, especially on Nuketown. I be fucking people up on that shit. These motherfuckers be getting worked. Nah, but like, let's say I got a crazy ass kill streak, I will supply some type of music behind that shit, because it's like I've always wanted to combine music and gaming together, and it's just like I couldn't figure out how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So now I found the formula. Now it's just being consistent. So, but yeah, going back to what you were saying, getting a YouTube channel to have this type of content. That's what I'm gonna put on my gaming tracks YouTube channel shit. That's what I'm gonna do, and it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be dope. I'm saying, and I'm gonna talk about boxing. But matter of fact, let's jump into that shit right now. Let's jump into some shit right now. Matter of fact, I'm a big Tank fan. I like Tank. Tank is one of my favorite boxers. I don't gotta say that shit twice. However, he lost that fight to Lamont Roach. He did. He did. And with me saying that, I'm not saying that like Tank or take anything away from. Matter of fact, not taking anything away from Lamont Roach, because that's the thing. Lamont Roach is a problem. Lamont Roach is a beast, and a lot of people are like, oh, Tank is gonna get him out of there in 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 8 rounds max. I'm like, yo, y'all clearly don't watch enough boxing to have that type of opinion. Because I'm like, yo, if you really watch how he fights, especially after losing to Jamel Herring, how many years ago? Like 6 fights ago. So that was like maybe 2-3 years ago. It's a different type of fighter, a fighter that like Tank has never like really gone against, right? A fighter who can take punishment and has great defense and has power and has IQ. And I'm like, yeah, Tank is nice, right? But I'm like, yo, if you think about it, he's getting the people out of there that he's supposed to get out of there. He's not being challenged, right? No, you don't know what you're talking about. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yo, you're gonna see Lamont Roach give him a really tough fight or damn near beat him. And I was like, and as the fight got close, I'm like, yo, Tank is gonna lose. And lo and behold, he lost, but you know how that turned out. It was end up a draw. I keep trying to tell people, Tank is a very good fighter. He has power, he can box, great hand speed, great IQ. But what are you gonna do against somebody who manages distance well? He's like a little bit shorter than me. Like he's like 5'5", or 5'6". You have short arms, right? You're really effective based off of reading somebody's patterns and timing them. Yes, you're very twitchy, right? But you fight in spurts, right? So what's gonna happen when somebody out punches you, or lands a bunch of jabs on you, or land punches on you? What if you run into somebody who has a greater IQ than you, has great timing, better timing than you, is faster than you, right? Or maybe not as fast as you, but has great timing. Handle that. Everybody like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about, bro, and this, that, and the third. I'm like, all right, watch, y'all gonna see. And lo and behold, we saw that when Tank was challenged, he couldn't make the adjustments. Let's talk about like how he did look really solid in the sense of like when he was boxing, moving around the ring, creating angles and timing and different things like that. But then when Roach was able to match that shit, his timing, his power, it's a different fight. He couldn't make the adjustment. And it just goes to show that, yeah, he nice, but he is beatable. I'm going to list off the fighters that's going to be him, or could be him, or going to be him. Let's first start off with Devin Haney. I know a lot of people saying, Devin Haney got knocked down and he's sewing all this shit. Bro, you got to remember that this is Devin Haney, who he came out with the wrong game plan. If he jabbed him and outboxed him like he was doing at different parts of that fight, he would have won the fucking fight. Maybe not easy, but it would at least been like 8-4, 7-5, Devin Haney. But we forget. Y'all must have forgot. Devin Haney would outbox Tank. Would outbox Tank and hurt him because T.O. has power. Who else? Keyshawn Davis would fuck up Tank. Yeah, because Keyshawn has power, defense, timing, speed, IQ. Even if y'all want to say he's too young, okay, whatever. You know who else would be Tank and make that shit look like a cakewalk? Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson would outbox Tank easily. Easy. Because Shakur Stevenson, out of all those people, is the most defensive fighter. Is the best defensive fighter out of all of them. And a lot of people say, he don't have punching power. How does somebody who... Oh, okay. Sorry, I have to move my bag. How does somebody who doesn't have punching power... Somebody who doesn't have punching power, why don't people run down on him? Why don't people walk down on him more? Why is that? Why don't people just walk through his shit if you don't have punching power? It's a good question, right? But you see, the thing about Shakur Stevenson that makes him so amazing is that you think that he's right there, but he's not there. He's a very good master of distance and timing and punching and timing your ass, and has great hand speed and can box from all three levels. He can box on the inside, he can box in the mid-range, and he can box on the outside. If he needs to move, he can move. How's Tank going to deal with that? When Tank fights Lamont Roach in the summer, I predict this fight happening one or two ways. Lamont is either gonna knock this nigga the fuck out, or Lamont is or it's gonna be another. It's gonna be. It's not even gonna be a closer. It's not gonna be a closer fight. Lamont is gonna outbox him. because of the fact that you gotta also keep in mind that Tank's mindset. Tank's mindset. People like Tank who are very competitive, right? I'm super competitive as well. But they have this rage inside of them that like they cannot lose. That it's embarrassing to lose. It's embarrassing to take an L. People who do that and act like that, they're going to fall. And when they fall, they're going to fall hard. And that's what's going to happen. They're going to fall, and they're going to fall hard. Because when they come back, when they try to bounce back from a loss, they are going to try to go hard as a motherfucker without thinking. They're going to try to go hard as a motherfucker without thinking. And they're going to run into some shit, and that's the fall. Unless Tank, like, I don't know how Tank is gonna win. Keep it 100. I don't see it, because everything that we've seen Tank do was neutralized. Just about. You know what this reminds me of? You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Manny Pacquiao versus Juan Manuel Marquez. Manny Pacquiao versus Marquez. When that first fight, right? Granted, they did rob Pacquiao. They called it a draw. One of the judges, he called it a 10-7 round instead of a 10-6 round. Marquez was knocked down in round 1 like 4 times, and he survived. A lot of people don't understand, like, Pacquiao. Oh, super fast, punching powers, great timing, and unorthodox angles. But the thing is that he had no fucking defense. So then when he ran into Marquez, who's a counterpuncher and has great timing and can punch power, couldn't handle that. This is what it's going to look like. Remember that fight, that 4th fight between Manny Pacquiao and Marquez? Don't be surprised you see Tank knocked out cold. Calling it now. Lamont Roach is going to fuck him up. Lamont Roach is gonna fuck him up. They have history together. He knows how he boxes. He's not afraid of his power. And granted, this is boxing, so but Lamont is gonna whip his ass. Mark my words. If either Tank gets knocked out cold, or Tank gets stopped, or Tank is just gonna get outboxed. I don't see Tank winning at all. I think that Tank is going to put up a good fight, but it's not going to be enough. It just took somebody who could really test him. They said that, we've been waiting for somebody to be able to bring the rough side of Tank. That's what his trainer's saying. We've been waiting for somebody. They did. We ran into Lamont Roach, and this is what we get. You ain't gonna be able to make any adjustments like that. He said that, he's slow, so he's gonna try to time him better. Okay, we'll see. We shall see what happens. But anyway, that's my boxing segment of Cliff's Corner. It is cold as shit out here. I'm by the water. By the High Bridge, I think that is. That's where I'm at right now, and I'm about to hop off this. It is cold. Take my bike, take myself home. I want to thank whoever was on here or is on here that took time out to watch my live. Cliff's Corner. I'll be back on again for sure. Talk about different shit and to talk shit. I'll holler at y'all later.